A bloodbath in Beverly Hills.
What's the problem? What's the problem?
Someone killed my parents.
Pardon me?
Someone killed my...
Two brothers accused of murdering their parents.
I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, Eric, you're a normal kid who killed your parents.
Yeah, I know.
The televised trial that transformed millions into living room jurors.
Did your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
And now, more than 3 decades later, the country transfixed again. It's arguably the most momentous day in the Menendez brothers' saga since they murdered their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez. Erik and Lyle Menendez making what they hoped would be their final bid for freedom. But tonight, a crushing blow for Erik Menendez. His request for parole denied.
This was Erik. Lyle still has to go. Now we see with Erik Menendez that the decision was pretty firm from the commissioners of that it is not time right now. He can try again in 3 years. But they're saying no, that there was too much in this case. If Erik was being abused by their father, why kill their mother?
Where a parole hearing typically lasts 2.5, 3 hours, this lasted about 9 hours. And just the amount of information that the parole board poured over showed how important this was.
The day filled with drama and so much at stake. Erik appearing via video conference from prison, telling the parole board they killed their parents after years of sexual abuse by their father. Erik saying, "Fear was driving me to that den. Our lives were in extreme danger immediately. Once they broke the secret of that abuse, they said they feared their father would kill them." And when asked why he killed his mother, Erik described feeling betrayed when he learned she knew all about the abuse for years. "I saw my mother and my father as one person after I learned that she knew, so when I was running into the den, I was in a state of terror, of panic, of rage."
The sexual abuse came up quite a bit during this hearing, and Erik Menendez talked about the fear that he had that his dad was always going to come upstairs and that he was going to come into his room and shut the door. And the commissioners seemed sympathetic to what he had gone through in the home, but at the same time asked, okay, then why didn't you just leave? And why kill your parents?
A parole board member telling Erik he understands the concept of the learned helplessness for sexual assault victims, but still that same member excoriating Erik's record for being replete, he said, with diverse violations behind bars, including violence, manipulation, misuse of things. You have criminal acts. The parole board's primary purpose? To determine whether an inmate currently possesses an unreasonable risk of danger to society if released from prison.
The board used examples of Erik Menendez's violations while incarcerated as an example to show that he was a substantial risk or unreasonable danger to society if released. He would violate the simple rules of prison, and that the violations of prison showed that he would put himself above the rules and above others. The board thought that this showed a disregard for society and potentially could show that he was a danger to society, an unreasonable one, if released.
The commissioners also hammering Erik about his serial use of illicit cell phones in prison, one noting the violation would have required a prison guard to smuggle it in and likely have benefited a prison gang, which taxed the import of the phone. Erik admitting he paid $1,000 for one, also saying, "I really became addicted to the phones. You're doing life without parole. This is not really harming anyone."
Those violations, as well as the just heinousness of this crime, especially highlighting the murder of Kitty Menendez, his mother, when Erik had the opportunity to leave because he was 18. It was these factors that the board used in order to deny his bid for parole.
Family members also showing their support today. Speaking rapidly, almost out of breath, Erik's Aunt Terry making her plea again, calling Erik a sweet, gentle soul who deserved to be protected from his father, and has repeatedly over the past 35 years asked her for forgiveness. "I want to make it clear," she told the commissioners, "that although I love my brother, I have fully forgiven Erik." But Los Angeles new District Attorney Nathan Hochman has publicly opposed their release and put out a statement late tonight saying the board correctly determined that Erik Menendez's actions speak louder than words and that his conduct in prison and current mentality demonstrates that he still possesses an unreasonable risk of danger to the community. Importantly, the board did not bow to public spectacle or pressure, a restraint that upholds the dignity and integrity of the justice system. The marathon hearing coming just 3 months after a judge resentenced the brothers.
The brothers were faced with life without the possibility of parole, but a judge in May resentenced them to 50 years in prison, thus initiating the possibility for parole.
In the past year, public opinion about the brothers has shifted, in part due to the hit Netflix scripted series Monsters that pushed their story back into the spotlight.
This is done. This is done. You understand? No more between you two. And you are never to touch him. Not ever.
It was pretty much unthought of that the Menendez brothers would have an opportunity to get out of prison. But through docuseries and specials, we see that at least the prior district attorney, D.A. Gascon of L.A. County, and many surrounding that office pushed for the brothers to be released. That's why we saw all of these habeas corpus petitions, resentencing applications, and even a bid for the governor to pardon the brothers.
At the time, the sharp-jawed, brooding brothers convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the heinous murders. The brothers saying they feared for their lives when they shot their parents after Lyle threatened to expose their secret, their cousins backing up the allegations of sexual abuse.
He told me never to reveal it to anybody, to promise him that I would keep it a secret between us.
But prosecutors back in 1993 said the abuse defense was fabricated, at one point even saying that men can't be raped.
It's the people's position, first of all, that men cannot be raped since they lack the necessary equipment to actually be raped.
Did your father have sexual contact with you?
Yes.
The Menendez brothers' case is now being looked at through a 21st century lens, at a trauma barely understood at the time that men could also be sexually abused. It is a reality explored by the former psychiatrist who evaluated Erik back in the 90s.
In the 80s and 90s, the public had very little knowledge about this type of sexual abuse, especially fathers abusing their own sons.
This is not a child abuse trial, this is a murder trial.
But some, like Alan Abramson, who covered the trial for the LA Times, still believe the brothers killed for money and that the jury got it right, given the brothers' lavish spending spree after the murders.
The parents were sitting in the den watching TV. Did they have any weapons? No.
I thought that when Lyle described the killing of his mother, that a normal jury would find it reprehensible and convict him. We loved our mother. Oh yeah, really? You loved your mother? You blew her up?
With Erik's hearing now over, the family turns to Lyle's hearing tomorrow.
And this is going to be a completely separate hearing. It's actually going to be different commissioners on Friday, so the outcome could be totally different. But at the same time, they were both involved in this crime that they admit to, and Lyle may have the same fate as what Erik had and may not be able to get out.
The Menendez family united in their support for the brothers, still hoping that someday they'll walk free.
Are you concerned that you might not live to see the brothers released from prison?
It is a concern. I have tried to go see them as much as I can, but it's hard because I live in New Jersey and I'm 85. I don't have that much time. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't.
Tonight, the family writing in a statement, while we respect the decision, today's outcome was, of course, disappointing and not what we hoped for. Tomorrow, we turn our attention to Lyle's hearing, and while it is undoubtedly difficult, we remain cautiously optimistic and hopeful that the commissioner will see in Lyle what so many others have, a man who has taken responsibility, transformed his life, and is ready to come home.
Our thanks to Matt. Of course, we'll continue to follow this story with the coverage of Lyle Menendez's parole hearing tomorrow.